Dabang or maybe Bahubali is what comes to my mind if I'm talking about the promoters of Rosary Biotech Limited. They have dared to come up with an IPO during the current corona pandemic situation. I'm sure many of you are really interested to know about the company. What does the company do? What are the issue details? When does it open? What is the price band? Really, is it worth investing or not? But if you want to know the answers to all these questions, just check out the full video. Hi guys, Sierra Shana Ranade here, and here I am with one more on-demand video on Rosary Biotech Limited. This is a company which is coming up with an IPO after a long time since the last IPO came, which was SBI Cards, and everyone was a little bit disappointed with how SBI Cards performed at the outset on day one of its listing. Now it would be interesting to check out how Rosary Biotech performs. So for that, let's get started. Let's understand one by one what the company does. Biotech, they deal mainly in specialty chemicals. But first of all, let's understand there are two types of chemicals. Now, which two types? One is known as a basic chemical, one is known as a specialty chemical. A basic chemical is something which is generally very high in volume, quantity, but it is generally a low priced product. Okay. But specialty chemical is exactly opposite. It's generally high in price but low in volume. Okay. So that's a very basic difference between basic chemical and specialty chemical. Now, what is specialty chemical used in? So, if you can check it out, it's very clearly written that specialty chemicals are generally used as additives. Okay, so they are added to something, they are used as additives, or they provide a specific attribute to the end product. Okay, the focus is on value addition to the end product and to the properties or technical specifications of the chemical. So, if I were to just give you a very important point, it is helping to enhance the quality of the end product. In fact, if you just check this out on the screen, I don't know if it is really visible or not, but I found this case study very interesting. It was given in the prospectus of the company. Okay, I'll just sum this up in short what this was. There was a washing machine company, okay, and this company got started receiving a lot of complaints from its customers that if you can read this, I don't know, I'll try to magnify this, that whatever the instruction details were giving on the machine panel, they were getting smudged off. So whatever instructions were written on their panel, they were getting smudged off. Why? Because the detergent which was being used, it was very high, or you can say it was very strong. Okay, the alkaline content was very high. Now, what the specialty chemical did was that it tried to reduce the alkaline content. Okay, so you can imagine something like this. There's a powder which is highly alkaline, because of which it is causing some damage to the machine. Now, to this powder, if you can imagine this, a specialty chemical is added to this. Okay, the alkalinity of that powder reduces. Okay, which will cause less damage to the machine. Now, if the powder becomes less alkaline, then problem is that the clothes will not be washed very nicely. So proper balance has to be struck. That clothes have to be washed properly. It should not be very harsh on the machine as well. So this balance was properly struck because of what? Because of the specialty chemical which was made by Rosary Biotech, and they have included this case study in the prospectus. So I hope you have understood the reason why specialty chemicals are used. They are used as addition to something. They enhance the quality of an existing product. The business of Rosary Biotech. Okay, here you can see that their products are mainly categorized into three categories. Number one, home, personal care, and performance chemicals. Now, if I talk about home and personal care, you can see here on the screen. For home and personal care, any soaps, shampoos which are manufactured either by Lifebuoy, by HUL, or by RSPL. Very best example is Ghadi detergent, right? So now you can imagine something, any chemical which is used in the soap or in the shampoo is manufactured by whom? Is manufactured by Rosary Biotech. Okay, I'll give you one more example. They are also into textiles. Okay, here you can see here, textile specialty chemicals. Now you can imagine this, Arvind Limited is a textile manufacturing company, and this Arvind Limited will be like their customer. Okay, so what Rosary Biotech does is that they manufacture a specialty chemical which is used in textiles, and these textiles are demanded by Arvind. So I hope whatever logos you can see on the screen, you have understood that all these are whom? These are the customers, major customers of Rosary Biotech. Okay, one last point, they are also into animal health and nutrition products. So just for an example, like you have shampoos even for cats and dogs. You have some nutrition supplements for cats and dogs, or for any other animals as well, for poultry you may say. All these are made by whom? By Rosary Biotech. Okay. One more important point I wanted to tell you is that they operate in 17 foreign countries along with India, which includes the foreign countries include Vietnam, Bangladesh, Mauritius, and so on. One last important point here is that according to global and Indian specialty chemical reports, as on September 30th, 2019, it was mentioned in that report that the company is the largest manufacturer of textile specialty chemicals in India. Okay, so all these points were basically told to you so that you understand the main product of the company. I hope this product of the company part is absolutely clear. Let's understand about the history of the company and the promoter holding. It was started in 2003 as a partnership firm by Mr. Edward and Mr. Sunil Srinivasanchari. In 2009, it got renamed as Rosary Biotech Limited, and that's why in 2009 it got converted from a partnership firm to a public limited company. Now, coming to the shareholding pattern, if you check out the pre-issue shareholding pattern, okay, it was 95% of the entire holding were held only by the promoters of the company. And post-issue, after this issue comes up, when people like you and me, various institutional investors, when we all put in money, then the promoter holding will go down from 95% to 73%, right? If you want to just also quickly understand this, the breakup of this 95%, you can check this, that 42.10% is held by Mr. Edward. Mr. Sunil holds 42%. So both put together itself is for 84.15%. And then other promoter group companies put together hold roughly 11%. But if you now check this, until now you can understand that two major people, Mr. Edward, Mr. Sunil, both are holding a lot of shares of the company. Now that you know about the major products of the company, let's understand how the revenue is split up in these products. I'm talking first about financial year 1920, wherein the percentage share of total revenue was majorly driven by home personal care, where 47% was contributed only by home and personal care. Examples now you know, shampoo and soaps and whatnot. Then textile specialty chemicals was 44%, and animal healthcare and nutrition was only 9%. So to simplify things, for every 100 rupee of sale, okay, for every 100 rupee of sale, 47 rupee comes from what? Personal care and home care and all that. Then 44 rupee sales comes from what? Textile specialty, and only 9 comes from animal health and nutrition, right? But this is only financial year 1920. Let's understand the 3 years trend as well. From financial year 1718, 1819 and 1920. It's a very interesting graph to note that in financial year 1718, home personal care was only 18.63%. So it was contributing very less. From 18.63%, it has gone up to 46.91% in financial year 1920. Who has contributed to this major jump? Who was their key customer who helped them to change their product mix? And a major customer, a major contributor to this was HUL, okay, Hindustan Unilever Limited. Second one is textile specialty. It was at 71.54%. The percentage dropped from 71% to 43.7%. And animal healthcare and nutrition is more or less similar, right? So this was about the product mix. Now, if I come to the geographical distribution of revenue, here you can see that the total operations, if I split within India and outside India, so basically domestic consumption and exports, here you can see that out of the total revenue, 86.23% comes up from sales within India and 13.77% comes from sales outside India. A very important point to be noted here is that specialty chemicals is a category of business which is right now really buzzing. The exports are also increasing. If you're comparing year on year, the exports are increasing. The domestic consumption is also increasing. So many people are of the opinion that this is a sector which may come into limelight in coming years. Now that you have understood about the entire revenue mix of the company, let's understand whether do they really have any opportunity of expanding this revenue in the future or not. You can see a graph here right on the screen wherein it focuses on what? It focuses on the segmentation of global specialty chemical market by industry and application type. Okay, might seem a little bit confusing, but I'll try to simplify it for you. Here you can see at the center of the circle that USD 237 billion means what? The global specialty chemical market, we may say, is of 237 billion US dollars. Okay. Now, out of this 237 billion US dollar, how is this divided? Now, if you see here, home care ingredients are worth, I mean, the business, I may say, is about $27 billion. Personal ingredients, personal care ingredients is about $11 billion, and so on and so forth. Okay. Now here you can see a red dotted line. Now what does this indicate? Indicates the segments in which Rosary Biotech Limited has already presence. Means what? Rosary has already entered into this segment of specialty chemicals. Obviously, this entire segment, which consists of dyes and pigments, agrochemicals, which is 28%, $66 billion business it is, and flavors and fragrances, these three businesses, which amount to what? 28 plus 14 plus 5, it's almost touching 50%. This much is still untapped by Rosary Biotech. So, is there any further opportunity which the company may tap into? Answer is maybe yes. So let's talk about few more opportunities. More opportunities come when you are increasing your capex. What is capex? Capital expenditure. If you are investing more in property, plant, equipment, then the best possible plant, equipment, they will help you to manufacture better and better quality of products, and which in turn will help you to increase the sales, right? So they are continuously investing in PPE, property, plant, equipment at Silvassa, and they are also setting up a plant in Dahej. In Dahej means Dahej is a city, okay, so which is having 1,32,500 mtpa capacity, metric ton capacity, and it is expected to be operational by fiscal 2021. One interesting point which I found as an opportunity in their prospectus was that the company also provides specialty chemicals which are used while manufacturing garments, various garments, which are antimicrobial and antibacterial, anti-sweating, anti-pilling. Now, I'll give you an example of this. What is antimicrobial or antibacterial? So these are like garments wherein it will help a person who is, let us say, into sports. Okay, like dry fit clothes. Okay, it doesn't. The irritation which can be caused because of sweat, that is highly reduced. So in simple words, whatever germs would be there on the garment, they will die because of the specialty chemicals which this company is making. So this was something interesting, and they believe that with the at the backdrop of COVID-19, when everyone is going in for more and more hygienic products, people might prefer such kind of garments which are antimicrobial and antibacterial. And to prepare such garments, this specialty chemical is used, which is manufactured by Rosary Biotech. So now you might be wondering that, or you might be thinking, Rachna, we have understood about the opportunities that the company has, but what about our opportunities? Tell us when the IPO is opening. So let's come up quickly to the IPO details. The IPO opens on 13th of July, closes on 15th of July, and few more important things. Number one, the bid lot is 35 equity shares and in multiples thereof. So what is the minimum lot size? 35. So can you can you apply for 35, 70, 105, so on and so forth? Yes. Okay, so that's the minimum lot size. If you're a retail individual investor, obviously this is a normal thing for every IPO. Maximum 2 lakh rupees is what you can invest. IPO market timings also, you might be knowing, it's always from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's a 100% book building issue. So what do we mean by book building? That the company doesn't dictate the share price. It will just give you a price band, and we are the ones who will decide the final price. So the price band which is given by the company is 423 rupees to 425 rupees. Okay, so we are allowed to bid in this price band of 423 to 425. Question is that if I bid for this IPO, then what will the company do with this money? Company is going to utilize this money. 650 million, which is nothing but 65 crores, will be used for repaying the indebtedness availed by the company. Means what? Company will take money from us and they'll use this to repay the debt which they have already taken. 500 millions, which is again 50 crores, will be used for what? Working capital requirements. Okay, but apart from this also, there's a major chunk of money which is still not given. They have put a dot here, so we don't know exactly for what purpose, how much additional the balance part is going to be used. They say that yes, if you can see here as a star mark, it will be determined on the finalization of offer price in the prospectus, and the whatever they are using this for the general purpose, that will not exceed 25% of the gross proceeds. Okay, so all in all, what is the key takeaway? They are utilizing it only for the running of the business, for the working capital majorly, for repayment of the existing debts. There is no specific capital expansion that we can see through this point that they would be utilizing from the funds raised through the IPO. Chill. We have talked only about the goody parts. Now let's understand the business risks. One business risk that they have identified in their prospectus says that our revenue is limited, is concentrated in the hands of very few customers. So you can imagine something like this: 50% of the revenue comes only from 5% of the customers, or 5 customers to that extent. Can that be risky? Yes. So what's given in their prospectus? It says that 43.95%, I gave you an example of 50%, 43.95% of their total revenue comes from top 5 customers. 53.72% of their revenue comes from their top 10 customers. Now you can imagine, out of this top 5 or top 10, let us say 3-4 customers go away. Can their revenue get significantly impacted? Answer is yes. That's a big business risk. Number one. Number two, their cost of raw material is very high. Their cost of raw material was as high. Their primary raw materials, by the way, are acrylic acid, surfactants, silicone oil. Okay, and all these represent 61.53%, 68.81%, and 65.73% of the revenue from operations in fiscals 2020, 19, and 18. In simple words, if I'm talking about financial year 2020, if they sold goods worth rupees 100, okay, understand this, if they sold goods worth rupees 100, then 61 rupee 53 paise was only their raw material cost. So now you can imagine, balance left with them is only 39 rupees. From that, they have to cover up all other expenses other than raw material, all admin, sales, everything. So that is a big risk point, I may say, that the cost of raw material is very high in comparison to the sales price. Now let's come to the grand finale, wherein we talk about comparison with peers, valuation, and then the conclusion, right? So if I talk about the comparison with peers, first of all, let's understand who are their peers. Vinati Organics, Aarti Industries, Atul Limited, all these are few of their peers which I have considered. Now if you check out the growth in net profit, CAGR, so in simple words, at what rate Rosary Biotech's net profit has grown. Their net profit, Rosary Biotech's net profit has grown at 60% CAGR. That's a very high growth rate. If I compare it with its peers, Vinati has a net profit CAGR of 29.06%, Aarti Industries 24.12%, Atul with 16.20%. Okay, so I can say Rosary Biotech is well above its peers as far as net profit CAGR is concerned. What about revenue CAGR? 3-year CAGR I've again considered. It's 41.77% for Rosary Biotech. And if I compare it with peers, Atul, Vinati and Aarti, it is 18.02, 20.65 and 16.10%. Now you might be wondering as to why the CAGR of Rosary is way too higher as compared to its peers. Now if you see in this slide that the total revenue is 6,001 million, that's like 600 crores. But if I'm talking about Aarti, it is 4,186 crores. So Rosary is very small as compared to Aarti Industries and as compared to Atul Industries. Vinati Organics, chalo, still it is a little bit closer. But if I'm comparing with Aarti Industries and Atul Industries, Atul Limited, it's a very small company. And very logically, if I'm talking about a small company, its growth rate is higher as compared to a company which is comparatively a bigger company. I hope you have understood this logic as well. Okay, a company which is already big enough, their growth rate is not that high. Okay, so that could be one of the reasons why Rosary's growth rate CAGR is way too higher as compared to Aarti and Atul Limited. Now, if you check out the PE ratio, P ratio for Aarti is 30.93, for Vinati is 30.45, and for Atul Limited it is 19.94. But for the PE of Rosary Biotech, it is coming in the range of 31.97 at the lower band and 32.12 at the upper band. Industry average is also 27.72. So if you check this, it's a little bit expensive as compared to its peers. So for example, Atul, who has a 19.94 PE, in comparison to that, its PE is pretty high. Even as compared to the industry PE, it is very high. So don't just get confused with one point that their CAGR is very high, because I hope you have understood this point till now. Their CAGR is high because it's comparatively a very small company as compared to Aarti Industries and Atul Limited. If I'm talking about market cap to revenue multiple, you can see Rosary Biotech is 3.59, Atul 3.4, Aarti at 3.4, and Vinati Organics is at 10.14. So if I'm talking about market cap to revenue multiple, it doesn't look that expensive. But if I'm talking about PE, it definitely looks expensive. Well, to conclude this entire discussion, I feel 2-3 points need specific attention. Number one, are the products of the company good? Yes. Number two, are there a lot of opportunities available? Obviously, yes. Number three, is the specialty chemical business as a whole growing? Definitely yes. In fact, India is becoming a manufacturing hub of these specialty chemicals, so that is also a positive point. The only point which concerns me at this point is the high P multiple which they are demanding right now. It is higher as compared to its peers. It is higher as compared to the industry P as well. And in current scenario where there is so much of uncertainty, demanding a high PE is what bothers me. So I really doubt if any investor who would be investing in this IPO for a quick gain, a quick listing gain, would really be able to get a lot of gain or not. So if I were to invest in this, I would definitely not invest for a listing gain. I might look at the company from a long term perspective though. So I hope you have understood about a lot of things about Rosary Biotech. I hope you're enjoying my content. If you do enjoy it, please don't forget to share it with your friends. And also, that join button, I always remind you of that. Don't forget about our Telegram channel as well. And till then, take care, enjoy. Jai Hind.